Yes, children. So let's continue the chapter sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So in the last class we had discussed about the development of embryo, development of endosperm, and also in brief we had discussed about the double fertilization, that is because of the triple fusion, and syngamy. Syngamy, I hope all of you have understood well. It is nothing but fusion of male gamete with the egg cell, and triple fusion is nothing but the fusion of one of the male gamete with two polar nuclei. So that is triple fusion, and triple fusion, it results in the formation of primary endosperm nucleus, which is triploid in nature, and syngamy results in the production of, that is the male gamete, it combines with the egg cell to form the embryo, which is diploid in nature. Now let's study the next two part of the post-fertilization stages, that is development of seed and development of fruit, and also some other technique of fruit formation, that is in certain plants other than the sexual reproduction. So here first we will see the development of seed. So after the fertilization, the ovule which is formed, ovule gets converted into seed, and you know that ovary as such which is there, it gets converted into fruit. So this is the final product of sexual reproduction. Ovary as a whole, it gets converted to fruit, and ovule gets converted to the seed. That is in the case of the angiosperms which we have studied. Now how the different parts of the dicot seed and monocot seed also we have studied it in the last class. Now let's see as such what are the different parts of a seed. So different parts of the seed can be classified. So if this is the bean seed, okay, these two fleshy parts are nothing but cotyledons. Cotyledons, and there will be an outer covering on the seed. This forms the seed coat. Seed coat. And then I told you there is an imaginary, that is embryonal axis, which will differentiate the seed, that is into the parts above the embryonal axis, it will be classified as mumule, and the parts below the embryonal axis, it is hypocotyle, then radicle, and the root tip. So the different parts of the seed can be classified as parts of a seed. First, it is made up of an outer covering known as seed coat. Seed coat can again be classified under two. It will be 1 in number or it will be 2 in number. So the two parts of the outer coat of the seed coat is known as testa, and inner part, the inner integument, it is known as tegument. So seed coat can be further classified under two parts. The outer seed coat, outer covering is known as, outer layer is known as testa, and the inner layer of the seed coat is known as tegument. The second part of the seed is nothing but cotyledons. Cotyledons, and as we had discussed in the previous class, we have studied that cotyledons can be 1 or 2 in numbers. If there is one cotyledon in a seed, it can be classified as monocot seed, and if there are 2 seeds, it is known as a dicotyledon seed. So cotyledons are normally, it is fleshy, and then it is rich, thick and fleshy. It is rich source of food material, and it supplies the food to the growing embryo. So it is fully rich in nutrition, which provides the nutrition to the growing embryo, which is present over here. Next part of the seed, the third part, is nothing but embryonal axis. Embryonal axis is nothing but, or embryo axis it is known as, it just divides the seed into two parts. So the part above can be classified as epicotyle and plumule with the meristematic tissues, and part below the embryonal axis will be hypocotyle, and then it will be next layer will be radicle, and then the root tip. So the parts of the seed can be classified as seed coat, cotyledons, and embryonal axis. Now in some seeds, this is the seed of a dicotyledonous plant. Here if you see it, if you see the transverse section over here, when you take the seed, that is green gram seed, or you can take the black gram seed, or rajma is there, that is leguminous seed and all. If you just take it, you can see a small hole over here opening. This is nothing but micropyle. Hope you remember micropyle, which we have studied, through which the pollen grain enters the ovule. So this micropyle is nothing but small opening remains on the seed. That is, it is for the it provides its transportation of, that is, water and minerals and oxygen. So this is the micropyle through which the seed absorbs water, air and all that. And below that you can see a small scar, white color scar mark on the side. You can see in the green gram seed. That is nothing but it is known as hilum. Hilum is nothing but it is a point of attachment of the seed to the stalk of the fruit. So that is known as, in peas and all you can see, they are leguminous plants, so pea, there will be an outer legume, and inside when you open it you can see the seeds there. So the point where the seed gets attached to the legume is nothing but the hilum. Micropyle is nothing but it allows the entry of water and oxygen enters through this for the seed to germinate when it gets the favorable conditions of oxygen, water and all that. Next, this is the structure of a dicot seed. Again, you can see in the case of this is a bean seed over here. Suppose in the case of a monocot seed like maize, I told you here, that is, in the maize and all monocot, it is made up of only one cotyledon. And suppose this is the embryonal axis over here, so this will be the shoot apex region, which gives to the rise to the shoot system, and then this is nothing but, remember, polyoctide, and then which is present only in the monocot, it is not present in the dicot. And this below the embryonal axis we have the polyorhiza. Polyorhiza protects the radicle or the root tip, and this is the shoot tip. Now you can see the basic difference over here. Here there is the fleshy cotyledon, and here the cotyledon that is known as scutellum, which is present in the monocot. So what happens? And along with that, in monocot, it has a large portion which is not utilized during the seed, that is after the fertilization, it is retained. This is nothing but endosperm. It will not be consumed by the developing embryo. So in some seed, the embryos will be in the endosperm will be present. It won't be completely utilized by the growing embryo, and in some seed, the endosperm will be completely utilized. It will be absent. So on the basis of that, we can again classify the seed into two different types. But before that, in this seed, you can see there is an outer covering, and then this here on top there is one more covering. It is known as alluron layer. This is very important. This is nothing but it is protein rich component, and it gives a nourishment to the embryo, that is a developing embryo over here. And then cotyledon, it also, the embryo will be absorbing the food from the cotyledon, and in turn it also absorbs the food from the endosperm. So that is present actually in the monocot like wheat, maize, castor, coconut and all. Large quantity of endosperm is also left behind. So depending on that, we can again classify the seeds under two types of seed. So one is known as non-albuminous seed. Non-albuminous seeds. And other category will be albuminous seeds. Albuminous seeds. So in non-albuminous seeds like the dicot and all, the endosperm will not be left, it will be completely consumed, it won't be retained after the development of the embryo. But in albuminous seed like in maize and all, the endosperm is retained, it is present. So that's how we can classify the non-albuminous seed and albuminous seed. This is found in the dicots like pea, gram and all that, this will be present. Albuminous seed like monocots, wheat, rice, maize, castor, coconut, barley, all those are albuminous seed. And actually when you see the wheat and all which we are eating, that is nothing but it is endosperm. the seed and the coleoptile, the embryo part and all which grows. This is the embryo over here, developing seedling which grows to a seedling, and this is a growing embryo over here. So this is a little part which is scutellum, but the large part of the seed is nothing but endosperm is present, and it is rich in all the proteins and all, and which will supply to the plants for the growing embryo to develop. And the outermost layer I told you, there is allelone layer and pericarp is also present on that. Next one is certain seeds and all, like for example black pepper and then beetroot, beet varieties. You can see that is I think you remember about the nucellus which we have seen, that is megaspore mother cell is surrounded by the nucellus, part in of the ovule. Sometimes even the nucellus will be persistent in the seed. In certain seed you cannot see the nucellus, but in certain seed the nucellus also will be present in the seed. So if the nucellus is retained, is present in the seed, that kind of seed is known as perisperm. It is known as perisperm. Very important, one mark MCQ question can be asked. So pericarp is the outer covering over here. This is a perisperm. That is nothing but in certain, an example also, black pepper and beetroot. Nucellus, the remaining little bit of remnants of nucellus is also is present in the seed, and that is known as perisperm. Now the seed and all, it is very important for the agriculture. So let's see how the seed varieties. In the castor seed you can see certain castor seed, those dipod, there is little bit of endosperm which is there present, and there is little bit of, this is a cotyledon, and you can see the growing embryo in the middle. This is the castor seed. This outer part is nothing but over here, this will be the endosperm. This is nothing but cotyledon. And then here you can see the region below this is nothing but hypocotyl. And you can see the meristematic tissue, the plumule and all, which will be present in between, that is the embryo. So it will be divided into two parts, you know that, plumule and the radicle. Then you can see that this seeds and all, we can store it for a large number, many years. Some seeds we can store it for 1 year or maybe for 2 years or 3 years. And there are some seeds which also, it is more than 2000 years it is there, or 2000 years, it is still viable. So some seeds are viable. Viable means the seeds, even after many years, it will, under favorable condition, it can germinate and give rise to a new plant. So those kinds of seeds are known as viable seeds. So viable seeds and all here, how it is becoming viable? There is one factor which the seeds develop, so that it can be used again, or it can grow into a new plant. So that what happened, when the seeds mature, on maturing, the seed is left with only 10 to 15 mass of moisture in it. So the remaining percentage of water which is present, the fleshy seed and all, water will be dehydrated. So the seed will undergo dehydration, so and then it can be stored for many years. So it will be retaining only with a 10 to 15% of moisture in it, and the seed will just lead the dormancy state. So that is known as seed dormancy. Seed dormancy. Seed dormancy means the state in which the seed, it will stop all its metabolic activity, and then under the favorable condition, when it gets sufficient moisture, air, oxygen and all that, it starts germinating. So this is important one, it's known as just dormancy or seed dormancy. So two factors by which the seeds can be stored for many years. It is nothing but one is the ability, that is dehydration, other one is seed dormancy. So the percentage of moisture in the seed, it will be very less, it will become dry totally. So it can be stored for a longer time, it can be transported from one place to another. And seed dormancy, when you study it, there are two important examples to be learned under this. One is certain seeds was found to be, that is, it was found to be viable. That means the seed started germinating, it started flowering even after 10,000 years. Certain seeds were excavated and found. That means the seed found even after 10,000 years, it was able to germinate and flower. So, for example, this in the Arctic region, Lupinus arcticus is one variety of the plant which was found in Arctic tundra. Because of the cold condition, it was preserved there, and after around 10,000 years when it was sown, it was seen that it germinated and it started flowering. Another one example is recent time, one seed around 2000 years, which is as old as 2000 years. It was also found during excavation in King Herod's place near Dead Sea. It is a variety of palm, variety of date palm. That seed was found, and even it was when it was sown, it showed that it was viable seed and it germinated, and that is nothing but the example. You can see that this is Lupinus arcticus, which was found after 10,000 years. It was, and then later it started germinating. Another one I told you, variety of date palm is nothing but Phoenix dactyliferus. This is the variety of date palm, which the seed which was found, and it was found to be viable after so many years. So this is nothing but it is due to the main factor, that is seed dormancy. Seed was able to germinate even after many years because it was totally, the seed had reduced its metabolic activity and was able to survive the harsh conditions, very cold condition or very hot condition, and still it was able to give rise to a new plant. So these two examples are important. You have to learn it. Advantages of seeds. So what is the main advantage? All of you know, it is a rich source of food for animals, for human beings, and of course it is a storage of for animals, for human beings, and also seeds also. It gives nutrition to the growing seedling, that is the embryo. So rich source of nutritive foods which are nutrition is present, which will be provided to the growing embryo. Next one, I told you, the seed also, it shows the seed dormancy. So this is very, very important in the field of agriculture. Because of this factor, what happens, seed can be transported from one place to another. So suppose on the basis of season and all, rabi crop, kharif crops and all are there, seed can be transported from southern part of the India to northern part, or from there also seeds can be transported to the southern part, or from east to west and all that. Because seed can be, it is mobile, and means because of its mobility and seed dormancy factor, it can be stored and it can be transported from one place to another. Next, the advantage of seed is nothing but it protects the growing embryo. Protection. It protects the growing embryo. And since in some cases and all, you can see it gives a protection to the growing embryo, so that, and protects the embryo from any kind of mechanical injury. Because inside the seed only the hard coat, that is testa and tegmen, it will not allow the embryo to any mechanical injury. So that is the main reason. And also here it is also a very good, very important factor in the field of agriculture. Okay, different kinds of seed, hybrid varieties of seed, as you study in strategies of food management, different kinds of seed can be produced which can develop resistance towards the pest or to the disease and all, or to insect pest or virus, bacteria and all. So that kind of seeds, when it is produced, it can be that is cultivated more in quantity, the different hybrid varieties, and it can be stored and it can be used for year after year, it can be used. So in the field of agriculture and all, even the seed is very, very important.